So I wanted to reflect on my autism journey, both the best parts, but also a bit about the pitfall for me that I don't think many people speak about. And if I needed to probably hear it, maybe someone else does too. So growing up, my world always felt a bit different. I didn't believe in Santa, not really because I was trying to be difficult or contrary, but because something about it didn't sit right with me. Why make up a story? Why lie to children to just let them down? It felt unfair, and fairness mattered to me more than I could explain. I'd see how people would treat things differently, especially animals or bugs, due to pretty privilege that I didn't know at the time was a word, but because they looked different to the fluffy dog or the cute cat. And it just stirred an injustice inside of me that I couldn't handle. At a young age, I had this real intense pull towards fairness and honesty, a feeling that really shaped my early years. And most people might not have necessarily known it unless it was close to me, and they did because they saw what I was like. But for other people, they probably just thought I was a quiet kid. When my parents started to argue when I was younger, I didn't react in ways that other people would expect. Instead of feeling upset, I actually felt a quiet understanding that they just didn't belong together. And I wanted them to split up if that meant finding peace. To me, it wasn't right for two people to stay together in a way that felt forced. I could feel it like a tension in the air that I knew they would just be happy without, and it didn't make sense for them to stay together for me or for any other reason. And then there were the normal things that I just somehow missed. I'd struggle with basic knowledge that others seemed to just grasp really easily, language that other people would grasp easily, yet I'd understand complex emotions, patterns, and connections that went over other people's head. These were things that I felt on a deeper level, almost as if they were a part of me, and I couldn't explain why, and I couldn't explain how. Every day felt like I was slightly out of sync with everybody around me. My senses were intense, whether that is sight, sound, or feelings. It was all heightened in a ways that other people I've come to learn didn't experience. Emotions washed over me like waves, and they would be so deeply ingrained in me that I never realised just how big of a sensation that was in comparison to other people. I didn't just see things or hear things, I felt them. And it was constant. And animals, they was always drawn to me, almost as if they sensed something familiar, or calming maybe, in me that they didn't always get off other people. I could feel their presence, and I could even connect with them in ways that felt beyond words. I sometimes felt as though I could also move things, which I will input a video because otherwise people won't believe me, but not with moving it physically, but with using energy. And I know that sounds strange, but it was real to me as anything else in my life, but I knew that that wasn't necessarily true for everybody else. For years, I carried around this feeling of always being a little bit out of place. Experiences overwhelmed me. Moments that other people might find easy or simple, to me, came with like an extra layer of intensity. And then in what felt like a quiet revelation, but a huge one, I received a late diagnosis of autism, thanks to my son. And in that moment, so many things that was tangled in those confusing experiences began to make sense. This wasn't just a label to me, it was a really key part of myself that I hadn't been able to reach or understand. And suddenly, I would look back at my life and I would see it through a lens of compassion and understanding. And with the diagnosis came an intense feeling of also relief. A safety in my own skin that nothing was wrong with me, and I hadn't known that that was possible until the point of getting my diagnosis. But with this newfound safety, I began to understand just how much burnout I had been carrying with me all those years. Years of pushing myself to my limits, years of trying to keep up with a world where I didn't quite fit in or operate the same way. It had taken its toll on me, and for the first time I allowed myself to stop and to rest, and to be gentle with myself in a way that I hadn't before. And as I settled into this gentleness, I noticed my awareness inside me began to stir. And a gentle tension, I'd say, that made me wonder if I was at the point where I was ready to grow again, because I was beginning to lean into comfort so often that I had now become a little stagnant, and this is the pit that people don't talk about. I was staying here because it was safe, but I felt I was ready to take the next step. Discomfort isn't always a sign to pull back. Sometimes, yes, it is our body saying that we need to protect ourselves or look out for ourselves or attend to our needs. But there's another kind of discomfort, the kind that I previously allowed myself to have, that comes with reaching beyond what I already know and stepping into growth. And for those of us with a neurodivergent mind, I know that the balance is delicate, and we need to honour our boundaries and we need to respect our unique limits. But we also don't have to hold ourselves back from growth when we are ready. And I don't think that that is said in our community enough. Yes, healing and finding safety are powerful and necessary steps, but they don't mean that we can't step beyond that survival. We can't step beyond that place and redefine what thriving looks like to us and for us. The truth is, thriving as an autistic person is different. It's meant to be. Healing, finding safety and honouring our needs, all foundational steps that are essential, otherwise you can't go anywhere without that foundation. But I had to ask myself, if that's where I personally was, did I want to stay there forever? And I didn't. So now I'm on a journey where gentleness meets growth. And that is why I have been a little quiet on the kind of creating autistic content. And maybe somebody else also needs to hear this, that it's okay. It's okay to attend to your needs and take care of yourself till you get to a point where you are no longer burnt out and you are operating around your boundaries, your needs and your differences. But I think that we live in a community where many people, because they have been deprived of that for so long, stay stuck in that place. And that's not me. I like to be aligned to my purpose. I like to be aligned to my passions, and staying there felt inauthentic, and I didn't want to keep putting out content if I wasn't being my complete self. And I think that although, like I say, it is vastly important to the foundations, I wouldn't want anybody to be stuck there if they are also like me and they know that their potential is far surpassed that point. I hope this is helpful to somebody.